right, I'm going to read, one of my little sayings that I always do to get a kickoff and start off, okay? And sometimes it can relate to, the topics of what we'll be talking about, once we get real and raw with things. I'm trying not to cuss either, because last week I was just cussing up a storm, and I was just in my bag. You know what I mean? Y'all, I was in my bag last week. Sometimes I just start that little shit and damn and, but I try not to let it go further than that. All right, this is the reading for today. It says, it's hard to leave toxic situations because that has been your comfort zone for so long. But once you cleanse your space, you will realize that you were drinking poison and calling it medication. Spit it out. You were standing in hell and calling it peace, holding red flags and waving them like it's a truce. You went up in flames and said it was not too hot. And now you're afraid of being too cold without the comfort zone. Break the ice. Love. There's a whole world waiting on the other side where nothing ever burns. And that touches me, because for me at the beginning, I was just all of this. You know what I mean? It was very hard to live in a toxic situation. You know what I mean? And it was, for a while, my comfort zone, because disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it's that tunnel I always talk about, going in, happy and controlled, you know what I mean? But then the storm starts in the middle. I see the hole to get out, but I can't get to it. You know what I mean? We as addicts and alcoholics, it's the same thing that happens to us. We in that control zone, like we got this, you know what I mean? But don't know anything about what we really have, which is called disease. Then the disease become dis-ease, the DIS/EASC. That's the tunnel. You're going in the tunnel, you're cool, you're happy, you're doing all you're doing, it's fun. You know what I mean? But then you get stuck when it's time to come out. You don't realize that you're getting stuck. You don't realize that you're becoming sick. You don't realize that you have this disease. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes chaotic. And some of us can work with it and still function.
Functional addict.
Yeah, that's what it is, a functional addict. Some of us can't function and you become a junkie. That's how they call it. They call it functional addicts and junkie. Ain't no such thing of a damn functional addict. You know what I'm saying? This is just something to make them feel like, here, put that back on the thing. This is just something that makes them feel like, is it on? That makes them feel like, they're not, there's nothing really wrong with them. They can handle it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's the poison that they don't understand that's doing the damage. You know what I mean? What works for one may not work for the next, and it doesn't matter the type of drugs or alcohol. There's no difference in it to me. No. That's my feelings. And I do want to say I'm not a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. I'm a grateful recovering addict with information and education that I try to give and share with everybody. And maybe it can work for you or have you understand, the life of a drug addict and alcoholic and, junkie. So, and it's for the families to get to understand, hey, I love them hearts. Y'all know y'all blow my head up. Y'all get me hyped with them hearts. And I will go off on the sharing. You know what I'm saying? That's what make the cussing and stuff. Niece, I'm telling you. That's what make me start cussing. I be going back. You know what I'm saying? And feeling that you may say shit, you see? But I'm going to have to say some of these words. But feeling that shit, you know what I'm saying? Because I know y'all know, you know what I mean? For everybody who's recovering in here, not only everybody who's recovering, everybody who just know, you know what I mean? Who's educated on this thing. And that's what this is for, to help educate. Is that my girl, Michelle? I probably missed your name going in there, leaving everything in the daggone room. But again, I want to say this too, y'all. I have a new couch setting for us. You know what I mean? And next week, that's where I'll be. But I'm going to let my niecey Pooh share some things because she called me and said, Aunt, I want to come on your live. I felt so good. Girl, I felt so good. I was like, for real, Shiny Boo? That's what I call her, Shiny Boo. For real, Shiny Boo? She said, yeah. I said, well, all right, when you want to come.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, whenever. I said, you can come next week. That was like last week. But I said next week or the following week. And she said the following week. And I thought she was chicken, I thought she was getting nervous on me a little bit. But
I'm still nervous.
That's all right. Don't be nervous. Just say what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come on this show, we straighten forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can be emotional. You know what I mean? It can make you angry because these are all the things that we go through in our lifestyle and in our lifestyle as a child coming up with addictive parents.
Exactly.
My father was a stone alcoholic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I got scorned from a lot of things he did, a lot of things he said. And I had to dig deep to figure that out, to learn how to forgive him for me. You follow? I had to forgive him for me because it was so much weight. So whatever you say, I got you. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'll bounce off on the recovery side, because all of us who get high, and live that addictive world, we hurt our children. And we don't mean to, we don't realize, we don't know because we don't have the control of stopping. It's a disease. It's a real disease, even though it's a self-inflicted disease. You follow what I'm saying? We choose to get high, but we don't believe we can get addicted. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let Shani, y'all, give some of her information and speak her heart. And that's what I want you to do. Speak your heart, because guess what? The truth will set you free.
Exactly.
It's gonna lift the weight up off you. Okay, so I'm gonna give you Shani applause. Hey, woo!
Hi everyone. So I am a little nervous, but I just hope that. So this is my story. This isn't the story of every child that has been a victim of parents that's been addicted to drugs and alcohol. But this is just my story and my version of what I went through. And I just hope that I'm able to reach one person that's still an addict to know that you can come out of this on top. Unfortunately, my parents didn't make it out. My dad made it out. It's just he still passed away from his past addiction. But my mother didn't make it out. And so I just want people to know, people that look just like me. And when I say look like me, I don't mean me being black. I just mean, I look like somebody who has it all together. I'm the happy-go-lucky. I'm Shantae, who's always here, who's always there. Everybody but no one really knows what I have been through because you only see me on the outside. Like, you don't know what I've been through on the inside. So I'm just going to share a little of my story about my parents and, what I went through, and which ultimately made me who the person that I am today. So I go back to my childhood of, I lived in the Moken Village Project, and I lived 2 doors away from my father.
We from the L, though.
I lived 2 doors away from my father, so, and most of my father's side lives in the LV, so I am like equally close with my mother and my father's side. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
I can't really speak wholly on my father because I didn't live with him. And
I see you, Dre.
I didn't live with my father, and I didn't see my father in his addiction.
You were young.
I was very young.
You were young. You was a baby in the real active part.
Yeah, so I didn't see him. I just heard about it. But what affected me is when he was asking, because he went to jail when I was very young. And in him going to jail, I still just had his family. So it was like having him, but not having him. So I didn't really get to see my father in his addiction. I still grew up without him. So I was affected, but not how I was like I was with my mother. I would say probably when I was like 6 or 7. I moved to College Park, Georgia with my mother and my Aunt Lisa. And my Aunt Lisa is still there to this day.
Yep.
And I was in 2nd grade. So 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade and half of 5th grade, I lived in College Park in Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget 5th grade, I happened to be in my mother's room and I saw a bag of cocaine. Now, well, my mom, I knew her to be a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, I never really saw her drink liquor. She always drank beer.
Mm-hmm.
Beer was what she did, and it took her there. So when I saw this, I asked her, like, well, what is this? Or not, I knew what it was, but I wanted her to tell me what it was, and who was it? And at the time, my mom was going with my brother's father, and she just assured me that it wasn't hers. So quite naturally, it's his.
Well, that's the first thing we're going to do is lie.
Like,
We don't want you to know.
You know, so I'm just like, you know, well, if it's his, I still don't want to be around it. At the time, my mom was pregnant with my brother. And I don't know if I called my grandmother personally, but I do know that I said I want to move with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And before I knew it, I was back in Chester.
Mm-hmm.
And
was this before I moved down to Atlanta or after?
So this is probably, because I was 10 at the time. So this is probably after, like me skipping.
Yeah, a couple grades down. Yeah, okay.
Because at this time, when I moved back to Chester, I lived with my grandma from 5th and 6th grade, and then moved back to Atlanta in 7th grade.
Okay, so it had to be after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I moved back to Chester with my grandmother and my aunt Robin, and I didn't live a bad life.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't like the child that they were on drugs, they were drinking alcohol. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't fend for myself. I didn't have no food. I didn't live that life.
Right.
Most of mine was mental.
Right.
Because nobody really asked me, how do I feel?
Or what's really wrong.
What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was a person that, I didn't cry. I didn't look like what I was going through even when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And
you were suppressing it.
Yes.
You know, that's what most of the children do. They suppress it. I suppressed my father's behaviors as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And far as what, when you saw that cocaine, you know, with Pam, it shocked you. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? And first thing she's going to do is not tell the truth. She's not going to say it's hers because she don't want you to know that. You know what I mean? Just to let you know how we function. You know what I mean? And one thing I could tell you about that part is that's what addicts do. You know? So we told a lie.
You lie.
Then the lies continue. You know what I mean? So in that part of her, she never wanted you to know that she was doing drugs. You know what I mean? Even though you were smart, because we from the L, and we know what drugs are. You know, a lot of people think that children don't know. They think children don't see or understand things. You know what I'm saying? But y'all do.
Yes.
But we don't see it like you do. You follow what I'm saying? So just, I mean, not to take up for her, but I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you how this thing really goes. You know what I mean? And down that aisle, she didn't want you to know that. She was just as hurt as you was. When, like I said, you know, she used to talk to you. You know what I mean? I didn't know you found it in the room, but she told me you saw her. You know what I mean? So I waited to hear you say this because, like I said, I was very tight with your mom, as I was with your dad. You know what I mean? And I love both of them. You follow? And at that particular time, I was in recovery already.
Yes.
Okay? So I was kind of like a little sponsor for her.
Yeah. So, again, like I said, I didn't live a bad life. So most of my things were like more mental, like you said. I suppressed it. And, but it still was happening. You know, I'm to this day, I'm not a jealous person. I'm not jealous of nothing no one has or anything. But I will say, growing up, I was like envious.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Like I envied my friends that had their parents, whether it be just your mom or your mom and your father. It just was like, why me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't I have my parents?
Mm-hmm.
Or why do I live with my grandmother and my aunt? And nobody ever talked about it. Mm-hmm. None of my friends, no one looked at me differently. It just was like this was normal, you know, and it was normal for me. I used to hang around like Nisha Duncan. Her mom would take me places with them, mm-hmm. like all the time. I always was with Emmett Cynthia's with Kai and Kalisha. Mm-hmm. I think that was their way of acknowledging mm-hmm. that I didn't have my mother and my father around.
They felt you. They felt your
pain. But no one never mm-hmm. talked about it. Mm-hmm. And so I was a little envious, you know, of my friends, even and as an adult, you mm-hmm. know, your parents are your best friends. You know, you're like, you know, not saying that my grandmama or my aunt couldn't be my best friend, mm-hmm. but
it's nothing like
nothing like your mother.
It's nothing like your parents.
It's nothing like your parents. It's nothing mm-hmm. like your mother or your father. And I didn't have that. So I grew to like this was like my normal.
It's your norm.
Yeah,
you accepted that.
Yeah, this is my mm-hmm. norm. I went back to Atlanta with my mother in 7th grade. And when I moved from Atlanta now to Philadelphia with my grandmother and my aunt, that was the last time I lived with my mother under her own roof. Mm-hmm. She had my little brother, and I always joke and say, well, jokingly, seriously, say, like, my brother is my mom's favorite child. Mm-hmm. And it's not to be jealous, it's because he had most of her.
He had her.
And mm-hmm. and I would say I still was the luckier one because I didn't see what he saw.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And although I say out of the two of us, I'm the strong one, you know, I believe in you either going to be just like your parents or you're going to be the opposite. Mm-hmm. And when I say the opposite, I just mean in the addiction part of it.
Right.
Like, because my mom was smart, yeah. You know, my mm-hmm. mom, like, it's in me to be an addict. You know, my mom's father was an alcoholic. He died from it. Mm-hmm. You know, ultimately, she passed away from it. It's in me to be, I don't have to be addicted to drugs and alcohol to be addicted to something. And I'll talk about that.
Addiction, you know, addiction is addiction. Mm-hmm.
But
we talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm. So I moved back, and this is when I really start to feel the resentment towards my mom. Mm-hmm. Because now I'm older, I'm going to the 8th grade, and I'm living with my grandmother and my aunt in Philadelphia now, and my father is not in jail, he's home. And so I get to see the good version of him. Mm-hmm. Again, I never saw the bad version, but mm-hmm. him being absent was bad.
Was bad. Mm-hmm.
So I see the good version of him. He's moved to Reading, and he didn't look back.
He was in a recovery area where
yes.
everybody used back in the day then used to go to Reading to get better. Mm-hmm. You follow? So he chose to get clean.
Yes.
You know, and he stayed clean for quite some time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, ultimately, my father had another child. I have a brother, older brother than me, than my little brother. And my father was the best father that he could be mm-hmm. to my little brother. And I was like so happy mm-hmm. to see this is what I would have had. Or this is what my brother would have had mm-hmm. had he not been on drugs, right. had he not been in jail. And that made me happy.
Right.
He was only in my daughter's life for 6 years because he died in 2006. Mm-hmm. But in those 6 years, he was the best papa.
He gave you his all. He gave
everything.
Her all.
Everything. Mm-hmm. Anybody that, when he came around, where's Shantae? You know, it was, he gave us his all. He died in 2006. and he died of cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something that he hadn't done in years.
But he done it for years. You know what I mean? So understand that he done it. This is what I mean by when I say to people who gets high functionally. You follow what I'm saying? That poison is poisoning what's inside your body. And how are organs supposed to function with poison? It don't work that way. And like I said, it does it slowly. It takes its time. You know what I mean? To kill you. You know what I mean? Or to break you down. You follow? But at the time, you having fun. You know, whatever you taking, whatever you drinking, you feel good about it.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? It puts you in la la land. You follow what I'm saying? But at the same time, sickness is killing you. You follow what I'm saying? So that's a, I'm glad you said that so I can explain that a little bit, because I share that all the time, how, you know, everybody don't become the junkie that I was or your dad was. You follow what I'm saying? What works for one don't work for the next. You follow? So, I mean, Avi, that was one of my favorites. You know what I mean? Me and my cousin was tight. And a lot of people don't even know my cousin stayed with me a whole lot. You know what I mean? He come to my home a whole lot. You follow what I'm saying? Especially out there when we both were active in our active addiction. You know what I mean? But he was just always one of my favorite cousins. You know what I mean? Because he loved me. You know what I mean? And when he got sick, it was hard for me to see him like that. And when he asked for me, I flew. You know what I mean? And my cousin died that night. Like it was real hard. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't handle I just can't handle death. Death is just hard for me. But you had a loving father, as you did a mother. It's just that the disease that we develop don't allow you to see that, like, and feel what you so much want to feel. You know what I mean? And we don't mean to hurt you. We don't, because you know I took Salim and Mert through a lot. You know what I mean? We don't mean to hurt you. It's just that we don't have the control to stop it. You know, because we had no education on us being sick. You know what I mean? We just, disease takes over. You know, and we can't think for ourselves anymore.
Yeah, it took me a long time to finally be like, she has a disease. Yeah, she's sick. She's sick. You know, she's sick. Because, and some people can't see that. They don't see this disease that we have, because they just think that we just don't care, or we just, you know, out there and we just don't want to stop, because we stop, start. Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and that's what it makes you do. When you don't get that understanding and hit that rock bottom and that part in your mind and heart together to say enough is enough. I just can't do this anymore. And you start learning how sickness works. You know what I mean? And sometimes in our lives it could be too late, you know, for the child. You follow what I'm saying? For the children, you know? And sometimes we could be caught to help ourselves. But then you guys still have your feelings. Yeah. And this is why it's so great that you're on the show. Girl, I call this shit all kinds of stuff. On the live. You know, because it can help family members, and it can help the child of an addict that live under the influence of an addict or an alcoholic to feel what you're saying and to understand, get the information and education on the junkie behalf. That's why I'm cutting in like that. You know what I mean? So that people can understand how it works, and it affects our children deeply. Like I said on one segment, Salim and Mert went back to when he was 3. Dang. I would have never thought. You know, y'all all shared, you know, a lot of things. You know what I mean? Because they were so angry at me. You know what I'm saying? And I just didn't, you know, being clean so long. Why you like
still mad?
Why you still mad?
Yeah, but like, it didn't happen for us to become a family until it was like in their 20s. I was clean, damn near. That's about it. But they still held and suppressed it like you're doing, like you did. You know what I mean?
That's why I felt, you know, and they still do. Until they are able to get it out. And I wasn't able to do that till my mom passed away.
It takes that
far
for some
as
of you
getting it out. Now, I accepted that it was a disease while she was living. Because I had so much resentment against her. Like,
here come those words.
And I'm like, you know, that's why I am the mother that I am. And
such a good mother.
It's a good, she did a good thing, you know, because it's like I always, you know, I'm never going to do this, you know, and of course I drink, you know, I'm just not going to, I know what it can do to me, so I won't indulge in it that much, but, you know, as much, should I say. But it takes a very, very big toll on the child. And again, because I wasn't one of the ones who, I had my grandmother, I had my aunt, I was a little more distracted to, you know, to my mom being out there, rather than the person who didn't have anybody.
Your aunt said it affects the family as well as a whole, watching your loved ones live with that disease. You know, because that she had to live with that too.
Yeah,
you know, as her sister.
It not only affects, you know, the addict, it affects everyone, because it's like we want them. I used to say, you know, my mom don't like me. You know, I used to feel that, and I know that she loved me. Like, and
you just couldn't feel the love.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I tell you, this is that thing about disease. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it not only affects us as the addict, but it takes a big toll out of the children's lives. You know what I'm saying? And I know you was hurt. You know why your mom, you know, was in her actions, as well as your dad. You know what I mean? Because Shantae has been my baby girl too. You know what I mean? And sometimes we had little conversations about your mom. You know what I mean? When you were saying, telling me about how it was in Atlanta. Remember, you used to tell me these stories. And then you live with the fact of my sons, my children, because the youngest three don't know. But Salim and Murd is all who y'all was tight with. You know what I mean? So y'all would talk to each other with no problem. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, you know, they held that in for years before we had the conversation. You know what I mean? My sponsor told me, because I'm clean probably 10 years, maybe 15. You know what I mean? And my sponsor, I was saying, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of them. You know what I mean? Because every time I turn around, Celine is saying, I raised my brother. I took care of my brother when he trying to hurt me or hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? Because he ain't over his hurt and his pain yet. So that pain lingers for a long time. You know, and when I you know me, I cuss. As long as you're not disrespecting me, you cool. And that's for niece, any nephew, child, whatever. You know what I mean? Because we don't disrespect in our family. You know that. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I can say. You know that my mom and as well as your grandmother and all of them held that in check. That there was no disrespect. You know, even from the love period that you had for your mom. You know what I mean? I've never heard you or seen you disrespect her. You know what I'm saying? But they held that resentment all the way up into their teens. They was about 20 and 21 when we actually sat down and talked about it. You know what I mean? Because it was like a distance. I felt the distance because everything was a jealous mode of Niche, Nye, and Tamir. You follow what I'm saying? And everything they couldn't stand seeing me be the good mother. Yeah. You follow what I'm saying? Like you saying about your brother, they could because they started out getting that, but they end up losing that. And they are the ones that watch me suffer. They're the ones that watch me not care. They're the ones that didn't see me, you know what I mean, half the time or most of the time. And when they did see me, I was coming down off of cocaine, and in my mind, they never saw me high. You know, like I felt like my mom never saw me high. You know what I mean? But that was my sickness. I didn't know that, but y'all seen me just as lit can be, but not in my eyes because I was coming down. You know what I mean? So I'm not getting high around my, you know, my mom or for them to see me like that. And I'm looking like a damn skeleton, but I can't see it. You know what I mean? So when I didn't care, I just didn't care. You know what I mean? And when I knew that my mom had my kids and she told me don't come back there no more. You know what I mean? That's when I hit rock bottom, but I didn't care. You know, and I still stayed out there for a while. And my kids really resented that. because they felt like I didn't give a F about them. You know what I'm saying? And when we finally shared, when I was clean, making a long story short so I can get this back to you, when I finally got clean, my sponsor told me, I said, you know, because I share a lot with my sponsors. I still have my sponsors to this day because that's my medication. And I said, you know what, I'm so tired of these effing kids. They think, you know what I mean, I'm going to F them up because, you know, they still talking about all that shit I did when I was getting high. Because I never apologized the way they wanted me to, the way they felt I should have done. You know what I mean? And then they're watching me raise these other 3 kids with Christmases every year, holidays we sharing, birthdays all the time, and I took that from them. I took a Christmas from them and broke their heart. You know what I mean? They sneaking, you know, y'all sneaking, know the toys is in there, and I got high. I was clean for like 3 months, and I got high the same week of Christmas, and I sold all their Christmas stuff. They end up having to go over their Aunt Cheryl's house just so they could be, Cheryl told me bring them over there, just so they could be around Christmas, because I had nothing but the little plastic bowling things. Remember? I sold the bikes, I sold the Atari, I sold anything in that shit that I could sell to get high. Because I didn't think I had a problem no more. I thought I was fine. You know, but we didn't talk, making a long story short, till he was in there, they was in their 20s. And they were grown. You know what I mean? My sponsor told me, you need to shut up, sit down, and stop acting like where you came from the pain that you suppressed and was hurt by your father. You know what I mean? And you need to let them talk. I don't want you to say nothing. Now I'm ready to cuss her out because she ain't on my side. You follow what I'm saying? But I had the wisdom to know the difference. And when I did that, we've been fine. You know what I mean? You see how tight we are today. You know what I'm saying? But it took years. That was years. I got high when my kids was very young and little. You know what I mean? Really in my addiction. And it took years for them to be appreciated and for me to surrender just hearing what they had to say. And I was in strong entree, totally done. You know what I mean? Because I got cocky and I felt like they should be over that shit. Because I was over that shit. And that's not the way it goes, y'all. It's definitely not the way it goes. We gotta let our children talk, and we have to let them share because they do feel it and they do remember a lot of things.
Especially if you are recovering. You know, if you are one that has made it, should I say, how I look at it, then it's very important that you talk to your kids about it and how they feel, or they'll just hold on to it forever.
We did that. You know, they know everything.
And I never got a chance to do that. I never got a chance to do that. I always, you know, growing up, and I didn't have that real conversation, and it still wasn't the conversation, but I didn't have that real conversation until I was probably almost 40 years old with my mother. And my mom drank to the day that, you know, to her last days. She didn't get, she just didn't make it. My mom was very smart. My mom held the best of the jobs down. She wasn't always drinking. She had a time where she stopped. You know, she went to Recovery King in Baltimore. She had the best job. She moved back to Atlanta, had a house of her own, car paid off, and then boom.
Let me share this with you. Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And once you get this disease is just like this in us. Just like it is with me right now. Quiet. Not saying nothing. Making you feel like you got this. You know what I mean? It makes a lot of us feel like we forget about what we used to do and it can't happen again. This shit can happen anytime if you don't stay aware of the sickness. You know what I mean? Because it's a choice. It's a choice and it is a decision.
And I always say addiction is the only disease that a doctor can't fix. Absolutely not. You're absolutely right. We have to do that. And we have no cure for it. Know that, baby. The only person that can fix that is yourself.
There you go. It's all right. And you're absolutely right. You are so right about this. I'm loving the pain that you are releasing. It's called weight. You know what I mean? It hurts. Jeff, who I'm trying to get on the live, Jeff said, family and loved ones go through the same stages of change. Okay? Through the same active addiction and the recovery process. So as she was going through her addiction, you were still going through your pain.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying?
And not to go way beyond, but this is why my daughter chose the field that she's in. Because
that's my Day, working at Keystone, Jeff.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, this is Day's mom.
Like, she chose this field because she also went through it with being a victim of her grandmother. You know, the same thing I went through. It was like a pattern. You know, her friends had their mother's mother, and she didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. Now I said, I didn't know the junkie tray. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But she said she knows the recovery tray. And that's true. Nine of them can't tell you anything about my disease because they got it good. I was pretty much working on it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but she said for me to tell you she loves you.
I love you too,
and
Kevin.
you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
And this is good for you.
And I also want you to know that my tears are not sad tears. They're just emotional.
Mercy, hold on, shorty. Don't be telling my story.
Yeah, my tears aren't sad tears. They're just emotions, and I'm like kind of over the sad tears, but it still hurts in a way, should I say? But again, you know, my mom didn't make it, and my mom passed away in 2021, October 2021. Oh, no, you know what, let me go back to, so I found this letter that my mother wrote, my grandmother, and the letter was very detailed, and she was thanking my grandmother for taking care of me.
You have a lot of good comments coming on for you, Sim.
She was thanking my grandmother for taking care of me, and she just went into, you know, a whole lot. And when I found that letter, that is when I said, my mom has a disease, and it's something that she can't control. And at that moment, I said, I'm going to call her. I'm not going to tell her about the letter, but now I instantly looked at her in a different way in a split second. I was like, she does love me, because this letter completely says it. She loves me. She cares about me. She took care of me to the best of her ability. And I don't mean financially. I mean as a whole. She did the best that she could with what she had, because she had a disease that she couldn't control. So I called her, and we talked on the phone for a while. I never mentioned the letter that I wrote. But in that conversation, she told me, she was like, I owe you an apology. No, she said, I know I owe you an apology, but I'm not ready to give it to you yet.
You said this is a letter that...
No, this is her verbally speaking to me. So
okay,
I found the letter, I called her, and we just was talking for a while. And that's what she told me. And she didn't know that just by her, I never told my mom she owed me an apology. I may have said things to make her feel that way, but I never said you owe me an apology.
Right.
But for her to say that I owe you an apology, but I'm not ready to give it to you yet, was the apology for me. I knew that one day if she felt like she was going to even say I'm sorry, she would. But I know that made me feel so much better to know that you're acknowledging that you didn't give me the best life. But
it was painful for her, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, our sickness only allows us to feel the pain when it's winning. But when she has moments of her own, she hurts. You know what I mean? She hurts. This hurts. You know, that hurt me like hell to know what my kids felt about me. It was very painful. And you see how long I said it took me to even have conversation with them. You know what I mean? I let mom know everything. You know, I was telling mom, because I looked at mom, Gramps, like my sponsor too. You know, because people in your family members or friends or loved ones that you have or people that you know can also be good for sponsoring you when they mean well. You know what I mean? But she was hurting. She was hurting. And she probably knew that she just wasn't ready to stop yet. But that pain to try to apologize to you hurts real bad. And being sick and trying to do it, disease makes it hurt 15 times worse. You know what I'm saying? And what it would do would make her drink some more. Understanding what I'm saying? It'll make her drink some more because she's hurt, and it'll put up her guard as well. This is why she's saying, I'm not ready to do that yet. You know what I mean? Because the pain of it, if she sat and told you the story like I told my mom my story, I wanted my mom to know everything so nobody could bring shit to her. You know what I mean? I wanted my kids to know everything. That's why it didn't bother me to say I was a trick. It didn't bother me to say I was, you know, still doing all the things I was doing. Well, they saw most of it besides the trick, but I wanted them to know it all. You know what I mean? Because family members do it behind your back in their little slip ways. Best friends, the people down the street, you know what I'm saying? Her best friends, people that know all about her, start telling you all kinds of shit. And in her mind, she probably think that anyway. You know what I'm saying? A sickness will make us think the worst instead of to think the best, or that is necessary for us to do certain things that are the right things to do. But she did it the best way she could in her time of sickness, you know, and pain.
Yeah, and I understood. I understood at the time. But when she said that, it made me look at her different.
Took some weight off.
Yes.
Took some
I
weight
started to not resent her, but accept her for who she was.
Were you forgiving or accepting?
I accepted who she was.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good too.
I always say, you know, with children going through this, you have to know that it's a disease. Know that it's not your fault.
Absolutely not.
And then you need to forgive them for it.
You got to forgive for you.
Yes.
You have to forgive for you.
Forgiveness is for you.
It is
not
for you.
For the person.
Exactly.
It's for you.
Exactly. You have to forgive for you.
And at the time, I was accepting of it. I didn't forgive her for a while because now my daughter is going through what I went through, but just as a grandchild's version, and that made me angrier at her because now you're putting my child through it because
she didn't get the grandmother.
She didn't get the grandmother. You know, and for me, the grandmother is your second chance.
Well, yeah.
For me, it was like it. That would be okay. You didn't give it to me, but now you got my daughter.
Now she's angry because she didn't get the grandmother love.
But I was saying it would have gave her the second chance to show me that this is who I can be. But
this is where I can fix it.
I can fix it.
Actually.
And although you can never fix it with me, in my mind, I'm like, well, you could fix it with her.
You have to forget to forget, you know, for it to fix you. But she was dealing with a lot of guilt. Disease make us hurt. And we hurt so freaking bad that it won't allow us to stop. I'd rather be high than to have to deal with the truth. I'd rather be high than to have to hear how bad my child is hurting. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know what you are now. You know what you did. You know what you didn't do. But that's real painful because it's not like you wanted to. Make sense?
Yeah.
You know, our sickness wouldn't allow us to. You know, we couldn't just give in. We had to learn how to do that. We had to learn. I had to learn how to surrender. You follow what I'm saying? And what helped me was the 12 steps. That's how I learned. I learned through the rehab and the 12 steps. Her drinking is as a substance is different than my using cocaine. Those are the only two different things. Hers was alcohol, mine was cocaine. You follow what I'm saying? But the sickness, didn't discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? On everybody who gets lit. Everybody who's out there toe up from the flow up. Disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it works through people, places, and things. And you are a people in her mind. You're her child. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And she hurts because she knows she's not well. She knows she's not right. And that she can't give you what you're looking for because she hasn't yet decided to surrender. That's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
why
then
she
the
said
time,
she wasn't ready to
that's
do
why
it
she
yet.
said she wasn't ready. And then the times that she did try to go get help for herself, she did a beautiful thing. You see, she came back. She bounced back. But you get too complacent. You know what I mean? And there's no telling what's going on in her life. Because like I said to y'all, you know, addiction of drugs and alcohol is vicious. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And so is having a man that you want a certain way. So you feeling what I'm saying?
My mom always, except for one person that I remember, she only attracted users.
Users. Mm-hmm. Some only attract dealers. Some only attract religious people. You know what I'm saying? But in her run with this, it was attracting people who use. Like, that's what people, places, and things mean. This is what I say when I say you can get clean and stop using. You can stop using, but now you have to learn how to stay clean. Now you have to learn how disease work. Mm-hmm. You follow? And you have to change your thinking.
Yeah. Even when she was, when she stopped using,
mm-hmm.
and I thought this was it.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, oh, I found a house, I found an apartment. So I'm like, where is it at? And she's like, it's in the veterans, whatever, territory of Chester, those little veterans.
Right, the veteran place, yeah.
So I got quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I got really quiet. She was like, you don't think I can do it, do you? And I was like, no.
She has her own guilt. She knows that she's lied so much. They're lies to you. You look at every time we say that we're going to stop or we're going to do this and all that, and then we go back and use, those are lies. You know what I mean?
I said no because I knew that she wasn't strong enough to move in that environment.
Mm-hmm. Where is a place? That's part of people, places, and things.
All they do is drink. And I knew that you couldn't walk out your door every day
and watch them drink.
Mm-hmm. And you not do it. Because I don't care if it was the veterans for free. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't move in that environment.
You wouldn't. But an addict.
But so I'm saying, to me, I'm like, this is something that's just gonna be temporary, and then she's gonna go back.
It's a temptation. You know what I mean? It's a challenge.
That's what it
like
is.
I said, she got cocky and she lost the control of staying with the winners. You know what I mean? Because when we get high, then we go to NA, then we go to AA. You know what I mean? Then they teach us how. They tell these same stories that her life is. They tell the same stories that my life was. You know what I'm saying? Everybody shares, openly. Everybody can talk that talk. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm saying real and raw, because we talk real and raw. You follow? Because that's the languages that we understand. She came out of an addicted life, and now you got to learn how to live in a normal life. Got me? You got to learn how to live in a normal life, which is hard as hell. You follow what I'm saying? And depending on the person. You know what I mean? Again, like you said, she wasn't strong enough. You know what I'm saying? To her, she was. You know what I mean? Sickness just like this. Quiet for a minute. Build yourself up that you can do this shit. You know what I mean? But you in the wrong place for it. You follow? Yeah. But it allows you to it makes you think that you can do it. This is the voice. We have a little voice, like you have a voice in your head. Everybody has a conscience and a conscience in their head. But when it becomes beat down, broken up, and confused, with the brain, we no longer have that strength that we used to have. Because we're still trying to get it back. We're still trying to find a way to put those pieces to the puzzle back together again. And the more that you put the pieces back together, the stronger you become. Because right now, I know I'm sick. You know what I mean? I know that disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, but right now I'm a beast to this shit. You follow what I'm saying? Because no means no by any means necessary. And I just didn't get here. Each day was a different day. You know what I mean? And each day you don't know what's going to happen in that day, but you have to make yourself understand that you're sick. And no means no. I can't do this. I can't be around these people. I can't go there. You know what I mean? And when I feel like something is wrong and I need it, I got to call sponsors. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I worked in drug and alcohol for so many years. That's meetings for me as well. You follow? Your mom didn't do that. Your mom didn't have that. You follow? Your mom felt in her heart that she could do it. You know what I'm saying? But this beast is so cunning. This beast is so powerful. You follow what I'm saying? This beast is vicious. Vicious. And like I said, it'll stay quiet for a while and allow you to believe that everything is okay. I know people who have relapsed that has had 50 years, 55 years. You follow? Because they relaxed. You know what I'm saying? And the beast came up even through medical situations. This beast is vicious. You know what I'm saying? Your mom was hurt. She was very hurt. She wasn't just hurt because she couldn't do what you would look for her to do. She was hurt because she couldn't do what she know that she should be doing. Make sense? You know what I mean? But for my advice to you on what's going on with Day feeling that's a whole nother generation. That's the grandchild. You know what I mean? I was blessed enough to be able to share my grandchildren's world, in their life. And I let them know what their grandmother did. You know what I mean? Because you don't want people coming in. You don't want family members coming with the wrong bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people tear shit down and don't even realize they're tearing the shit down because it's who they are. You follow what I'm saying? So I let my grandkids know. I teach them about addiction. I teach them about drugs and alcohol. Your daughter is learning so much right now. Day is getting so much in where because there's a beast working in Keystone. Day a beast now. She look different. You know what I mean? Day walking around like a champ. But she's helping people. You know what I mean? So she's also learning and probably being in the environment of all of that. She's seeing a lot and feeling a lot of what hurts her. A lot of why and what is a disease, what is addiction. You know what I mean? And for Day too, if you're watching, baby girl, you just have to lift the weight off you and live and let God and forgive, because that weight can become dangerous. You know as well as I know. In there's Jeff again. Yeah. And Jeff is our director. He's saying she is an awesome therapist, and she is, because you know why? She lived the life. She lived the life. So she can get deep into it. Yeah, and they know, our clients know. They know when you've been, into something or you've been dealing with this type of shit. And they know when you ain't, because you's a geek if you ain't. You know what I mean? And they done built up her whole joint by the time I got back. Because, I told her, I'm going to put you deep on everything. Day walking around there, girl queen. She walking around there doing just what she do, helping people save their lives.
Yes. I mean, my mom used to tell me, my own granddaughter giving me therapy. They used to talk, again, like she wasn't the best, but, she wasn't the worst.
But she was trying.
I
guarantee you, when Pam was going through her last days, she was grateful. She was grateful because y'all took care of her. She was grateful because you was right there as a daughter, but it was also painful. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I always say, in her my mom got sick in the hospital in July of 2021. She didn't get out the hospital till September. And that's when they told us, there's nothing else that they could do.
Her insides, liver was
my mom, she thought that this was her testimony. She thought that this was her rock bottom and that she was going to live to tell the story. I also thought that until the doctors told us how this is
too bad.
Basically it's too late. But I can say, in all the years of my life,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay.
Like, those were some of the best times of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to take care of my mother.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God, Lord. Yes.
My family was with her 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, her mother, never left her side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the best time of my life, just to be able to take care of her when she needed us most.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And so I in her last days, like, I've been forgiving her at this point. I forgave her, and I truly understood that she did the best that she could.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that somebody who is just like me or grew up just like me, or, you know, like, you have to forgive your parents, or you're going to be stuck. You're going to always have this weight of you, this weight on you, and it's hard. And it's hard, and it's easy for people who has not been in your shoes to say this or say that. Honor your mother, honor your father. It's easy for people to say that, but if they haven't gone through what you have gone through, you don't know. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I did. I don't hold no resentment to my mother or my father.
Robin said God gave y'all time.
Yes.
As he did, Robin.
So my mom passed away, and it was very hard for me. Very hard. You know, I don't know what it is about a mother and a father that passes away, but I'm telling you, the mother, it just seems like it's just different.
Shauna said she was forever grateful for that time as well.
It's just different, and I cried almost every day.
And her said they were tears of peace.
Yes. Yeah, I cried every day for a while until I realized I needed therapy.
Absolutely. Another thing we talk about on this live.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with getting therapy.
And I think
people are embarrassed to that. You know that? And it's hard for them to make choice to do this because they think I'm not crazy. A therapist is not because you're crazy. Exactly. You know what I mean? That's a psychologist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a difference.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And if you need a psychologist too, you got to surrender and go to them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because this is hard.
It's very hard.
I'm so proud of you though. I am so freaking proud of you. I'm holding back my own tears.
It's very
you
hard.
Follow? Just watching you set yourself free. The truth will set you free, hon. I'm telling you. It will set you free, and you are strong and you're wise. You know what I mean? You know, and it's hard to come through the life of addiction because just as well as us as addicts and alcoholics is dealing with our disease, it's affecting you too. You know what I mean? So we going through this same sickness at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? You are brave. You are so brave, you know, and I'm so proud of you for doing this. You are helping so many people. You are helping so many people. You hear what I'm saying? This is going to be greatly fed back. I promise you that. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot to share. You follow? It takes a lot to share. And it takes a lot to share the truth. You follow what I'm saying? And again, by you watching this and watching it with your mom, like you said, you know, it makes you a better mom with your daughter. You know what I mean? And I'm quite sure she feels that. And she knows that. You know, but even though, you know, that was your mom that was sick, it was her grandmother that was sick also. And, you know, I tried to be the closest and the bestest grandmother that I could be to my kids because mine wasn't so great. You know what I mean? I ain't got no damn great memories of our mom. our grandmother.
Yes.
She was an evil lean, far as I'm concerned. Hurt me bad. You know what I mean? But I forgave her too. You follow what I'm saying? I forgave her too. You know, and when I did, because I resented it, I didn't like them. You follow what I'm saying? I didn't like how we were treated. You follow? And that tore me up inside. You know, I didn't even want to go over her house no more because I knew what to expect. She was only going to just treat me like shit. That's how I felt. You follow? You know, because I guess because we got the most kids in the family, something, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a good bring up with a grandmother. I don't want my grandchildren to look at me like that. And I want to know every single one of my grandchildren, down to my great-grandchildren. So all of what I went through, and because I'm surviving in recovery, and you hear me saying surviving in recovery, because I'm not cured from anything. I've just had my disease in remission, where we can only put it. You follow what I'm saying? And I keep taking my medication daily, all the time, which is my 12 steps, which is my dealing with my people, places, and things, with my learning how to live and let God. I have to keep myself in a positive world. You know what I mean? Because I've been wrapped around negativity. You follow what I'm saying? And it's very painful. Very painful. You cried when my mom passed. You know what I mean? Hell, I didn't. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? Because she had choices and picks of the type of, you know, of our families that she wanted to show the love, you know, give the love, you know what I mean? And hurt us. You know what I mean? So I didn't feel none of that shit. So I understand what baby girl is going through. You know, she didn't get a chance to get that grandmotherly feeling. And it should be due to all of us. We all look forward to loving our grandchildren and have our grandchildren love us. But in the generations, you know, that's just how they did back then, which I understand now. You know what I mean? Which if it wasn't for drug and alcohol recovery, if it wasn't for my recovery, I'd have never forgave her. I'd have never forgave her, and I would have never forgave my father. You follow what I'm saying? But I learned that in the rooms. I learned how to forgive and let live and let God. You know what I mean? Because I was truly fighting to get my life right. And they were a big part of making me an unhappy kid. You know what I'm saying? They had damage in me. You know what I mean? But baby girl saw most of what you didn't see in P. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you did the best that you could. Even though she was seeing it, she was understanding it. Is that, am I on the right track? You know what I mean? So that made you go even harder for your baby girl. You know what I mean? And she'll go harder for hers. You follow? But watching you forgive your mom, you know what I mean? Release some of this pain. Believe me, she's feeling it. Yes. You know what I mean? Put some hearts up there, Day, to let your mom know if you are feeling it. And if not, she should go with you, even though she's a therapist. You follow what I'm saying? Just because we in the field don't mean we don't hurt. Don't mean that we, you know, we can get past things too. Hell, doctors and therapists and all of them is the worst damn patients. You know what I'm saying? Because they think they know and they this and they that. You know what I mean? But y'all pray together and love together. You know what I'm saying? And understand that the disease that Pound had is just that baffling. You know what I mean? Like I said, some of us can't escape it. You know what I mean? And some of us didn't mind living the life of bouncing in and out, off and on, in and out, off and on. You know what I mean? And that's still because they don't have the control back. They don't practice what they preach. You know what I mean? They give up on not having help. You know what I mean? Because they think they had enough help, that they can handle it now. That's the storm in that tunnel that I'm telling you about. You follow? When you get better, you see that hole to get through this tunnel, but the storm is still there, and you can't get through. You know what I mean? And you get closer and closer to the hole to get out the tunnel, and then disease will snatch you right back. You know what I mean? And it hurts to go back on drugs. it feels the guilt gets stronger. You know what I mean? The pain gets stronger. Everything gets stronger. You know, till it destroys the person till I don't care. You know what I mean? It hurts them so bad that they messed up again. You know what I mean? It is a powerful sickness. It is a powerful disease. And you see, I get to moving, I get to shaking, I get hype and all that shit because I hate the shit. You know what I mean? And I'm going to fight it today the best I can. And I'm going to help people today the best I can. I'm going to help you today because these are things that you and I can share. These are things that, you know, you like everything you were saying brought things back out in me. You know what I mean? Just by, my mom never touched a drink or drug in her life. You know what I mean? But my mom never said nothing bad about my father or my grandmother. You understand what I'm saying? Because she loved me. You know what I mean? And she don't want me to feel that way about them. She would not let us talk about my dad either. You know what I mean? Nor her mother. We weren't going to try to do that shit. So that was part of, you know, talking about her mom. We had to suppress that shit until we got grown. When we got grown is when my mom started hearing the things that she was doing and what we felt, you know, our feelings about it, what she was doing to us. You follow what I'm saying? And I forgave my grandmother. I forgave my grandmother before she passed. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you that I didn't love her. I did. You know, was I in love? No. You know what I mean? And that's the same with my father. But I loved them, you know, and I gave them respect the entire time. And that made me angry because I had to. You follow? But you got a chance to forgive your mom. You follow? And what you're doing now is forgiving your mom. You follow what I'm saying? And you are releasing pain that you never got a chance to really tell her. You know what I mean? But I feel like she hears.
I'm glad that you said that. So when I went to therapy, I went to a black therapist. Her name is Ebony Madre. She's great. And I would go every day and I would cry every day. And
releasing.
Yes. And then as I would go, the crying would lessen. And then I'm able to kind of like talk. And she told me I should write my mother a release letter. And first I'm like, release of what? You know? And she was like, write your mother a release letter, releasing everything that you want to release her from. Write her a letter.
Write it down.
So when I was writing the letter, I would get to a certain point and I would cry and I would end. It took me a couple of weeks to actually write the letter.
You know how many times I heard this story like this.
I really, really encourage people to write the release letter.
Absolutely.
Even if they're alive, you can write the letter. I brought my letter and I'm going to read it because it helped me out
so much.
So much. When I finally wrote it and was able to read it out loud, it just like, this was the last piece to my puzzle. Was writing this letter because I never thought, no one ever told me, and I never thought to do this. So, in my little closing.
Share this. I know we don't went over y'all, but it's just that deep, and I'm feeling it. And for all of you that are still here, is feeling it too. You know, so I hope it's helping somebody. You know, I hope you're listening. You know what I mean? And if so, show these hearts for Shantae. You know what I mean? And we're going to read Shantae's letter, and then I'm going to close. So, I mean, you can always inbox like you've been. You look at them. Look at that. You can always inbox like you've been. You know, think about it if you're experiencing the same thing. And I'm going to close with Shantae reading her letter to you all. Time for me don't matter. You know what I mean? So if it ain't mattering to you, we're going to continue so she can read this letter and then give our farewells for the next week segment. And I'll just say the few things that I need to say for as next week live.
Okay, so it's a long letter, but I have names there, but I won't say the names.
Good.
And it says, Dear Mom, it wasn't until I was 10 years old that I began to feel like I didn't belong to you. I felt like you put him before me. I'll never forget the day that I found the drugs in your room. You told me it was his. You reassured me that you didn't do drugs. I knew then, whether you did or not, I didn't want to be in that environment. I asked my grandmom, can I move back to Chester with her? And she said yes, and you allowed me to go. Why? Didn't you care? Now you are having my brother and let me go. I get it now. You let me go because you did care, so I release you from abandonment. I now live with my grandmother and my Aunt Robin, but all of my friends have their mother. I was confused, but I knew I was in a better place. I stayed with them until 7th grade, and you wanted me back. I guess so. I moved back to Atlanta, only to go back to my grandmother's summer of 8th grade, and this time was for good. We lived in Philadelphia, and soon you come, but not to live with us. You and Kimi moved with the man. He was abusive drunk. You seemed to only attract men that drank. I released you from not thinking you were good enough. My brother was exposed to so much during that relationship. I believe that's why he is the way he is now. He lives with us as well. From 8th grade to college, you were in and out of my life. It wasn't always bad times, and I was grateful for that. But what I didn't understand is why didn't you never come back for me? I learned to be envious of my friends who was close to their mom. Now that I'm 20 and I'm pregnant, I remember being able to tell you, but so afraid to tell my grandmother and my aunt. They have taken the role of being my mom. I'm not sure of the timeline, but as soon as you went to rehab and moved to Baltimore, you and Kimi left. This was an awesome time and move for you, and I was so happy. We used to visit you all the time. These were the good times, and finally a man that you were with, I won't say his name. Time went on, and eventually you and Kimi moved back to Atlanta. This is where your heart was. You had it all together. You bought a house, a car, paid it off, and then you met this man. And it went downhill from there. He used and abused you, and you lost everything. So you had to move back to Chester. Kimi is grown, so he stayed in Atlanta with a friend. My poor brother had found a family of his to call his own. He didn't have to stay, but he wanted to. You are back in Chester with really nowhere to go, so you stayed with me. As bad as I didn't want you to, I couldn't see you on the street. These were some of the worst days of my life. The drinking progressed and got worse. I couldn't let my daughter go through what I did. I had to give you an ultimatum, rehab or you had to go. The crazy part, rehab wouldn't take you unless you were intoxicated. I remember sitting and watching you go through withdrawal. It was horrible. And finally you agreed to go. I released you for not giving up. Once you got out and found this veterans community to live in, although I knew this wasn't the best place for you, you finally had a place of your own. You worked and was good for a while. Slowly but surely, you were back drinking. You found a new man who was a functional addict. Our relationship became estranged. You lived 5 minutes away, but I barely saw you. I would go days without talking to you. And this was normal to me. Yet my friends and their moms were best friends. Even me being in my 30s, I still was envious of those mother-daughter relationships. I remember when we used to talk on the phone for a minute. If I heard in your voice that you were drinking, I would quickly end the conversation. I wish I was more patient with you. We'd often talk about seeking counseling, but it never happened. Years are going by, and you're sinking deeper and deeper. I knew your drinking had a lot to do with the death of your sister, but I never understood why you couldn't snap out of it.
My girl.
One day I decided to put myself in your shoes, and realized it wasn't you. It was the disease. I released you from not being able to control your addiction. I knew you loved me, but you couldn't control the disease. I then released myself from all the anger I had for you. I wanted you to feel special and loved. I now made sure we talked, and on holidays, you got gifts, even though I knew we weren't getting anything back. Our phone calls were happening a little more. I remember the particular conversation. we let it all out on the line in the conversation, and you told me that you owed me an apology, but you weren't ready to give it to me yet. That was all the apology that I needed. Now you owe me nothing. But the fact that you acknowledged that you weren't the best mom you could be was enough. Even the relationship with your granddaughter had gotten stronger. It's now 7/24/2021, and I'm in New Orleans and I'm going to skip some of this. The fact that you had to go to the hospital. Finally, you agreed to go. The doctors assured me that you weren't going to pass away during my time there. Every day, they called me like clockwork until I returned. One day, the nurse had a conversation with me about sending you to hospice. That same day, you were talking about coming home and getting well, and this will be your testimony. This broke my heart because finally you had enough, and now it's too late. The doctors had already said that there was nothing else that they could do, and I hated giving you that news. The day has come for you to come home, and you will be staying with your mother who never left your side. This is a very rough time for us, yet these were some of the best times of my life. I was now able to care for you, and on Sundays it was just me and you while Grandma was at church. I washed you, rubbed you down, and we talked and we talked. On 10/1, God called you home.
It's all right. It's okay. Continue to read.
I release you from that horrible disease. You are free. Until we meet again, I will always be your number one girl. I love you forever. Shani.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I know it's painful. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. A lot of people is praying for you right now on these lives. You know what I mean? Send her hearts, y'all, so she could see. Just send her some hearts, you know. Keep them coming, you know, so you could see. You have a lot of feedback on here that we're going to go over once this is over. You know, I know we went way over the time, but for me, it was well worth it. And for her, it was definitely well worth it. So, and for all of you who are watching with all your support, you know, it's grateful, you know, and I appreciate it. I know Shantae appreciates it, you know, and I hope that her story has helped you. Keep posting this, keep sharing this so other people can see it, and other people who can't, you know, reach out to this or accept some of the things that's being done and need the same help that Shantae got for herself. You know what I mean? And she has such a loving family on both sides because we all supported her. You know what I mean? And most importantly, she has forgiven, you know, and now she's releasing her pain so that she can move on. You know what I mean? And you're doing a great job of it, Shani. You're doing exactly what it takes to get better. You know, and at the same time, you're helping people who can't do this. You know, you're helping family members to understand. You're helping people who are still sick to understand the life of a child, you know, living in addiction along with the parents. You know what I mean? I want many more to come on and share these stories because we all have a story. Everybody has a story, and the truth is going to set you free. So those tears are good tears. You know what I mean? They're not bad tears. They are good tears, honey. That means you're recovering. You know what I mean? Because you went through an addiction too in watching this. You know what I mean? Like I said, like Jeff was saying, you know, this disease take you through the same thing as it's taking your loved ones. You know? So this is great information for the families who can get the understanding of how disease work. You know what I mean? And that there is a way to forgive. You know, and to know that the ones of us that are junkies and that use and are alcoholics, trust me, we can't help the predicament that we are in until we are ready to be helped. You know what I mean? And some of us don't come out of it. You understand? Some of us going down to the grave. You know, like my dad. He said, Trotsky, if they take my alcohol, they take my liquor, I'ma die. Took my dad's liquor, in 2.5 weeks he was dead. You understand what I'm saying? Because we're the ones that feel the pain. We're the ones that feel that sickness. You know what I mean? We're the ones that withhold. We're the ones that can't forgive. But, you know, he was gone, you know, and that taught me something in my recovery. It taught me that this thing is cunning, this thing is baffling, and it's powerful, and it does not care who it hurts. You follow? So good job to you, niece. Good job. Excellent job. You hear what I'm saying? Excellent job. And whatever I could do, it's like I said, we share, we talk, we share with each other because it's open. You wide open now. You follow what I'm saying? You're not suppressing no more. You're not closed in. You wide open now. You know what I mean? You can share this shit like a big girl. You see what I'm saying? Twice. That's what we do. You follow what I'm saying? And make it better for your child. You know what I mean? So when she have hers, she'll make it better for hers. You know, and in this day and time, and I'm going to close, is because this disease is so vicious and these drugs is so freaking powerful and they change every generation and they're getting worse and they're getting worse and worse. And so is the alcohol. Just as cheap, ain't nothing like it used to be. It's cheap ass shit that they giving you. You know, they ain't when what was the dude name that they was battling, the gangster guy. You know what I mean? Until the crooked government made alcohol illegal and you can drink it and you know buy it in the stores now. What's his name? What's his name? I can't get the damn name. I'm always starting something that can't finish on that type of tip. But thank everybody. Don't forget to share this, please. You know what I mean? Share it and keep sharing it so other people can get a taste of the truth and can get the taste of the true feelings of an addict and an alcoholic and the child of the addicts and the alcoholic. I thank everybody. I thank everybody for coming on. I thank everybody's support. I thank all the comments that everybody made. And believe me, it has taught me a lot. And it allows me to know that people can love you and can feel for you. You know, even though we got haters out there that don't. You know what I mean? But today, we doing the damn thing. You hear what I'm saying, niece? We're doing the damn thing. And you can come back on whenever you need to, whenever you choose to. Because we can't get our whole story out on this. You see, we done went over a whole damn half hour. You know what I mean? But it was well worth it. You know what I'm saying? It was well worth it, and it's helping people. So until next Wednesday, you know what I mean? I will be seeing y'all, and I appreciate you guys for hanging in there and hanging on and supporting.
Thank you.
Shantae. You want to say something real quick?
Just thank you. And I hope that I reach someone.
You reach my heart deeply.
Yeah, I hope that I reach someone and to encourage someone that is still in addiction that you can get out. And like I said, someone that's just like me, release it. It helps. It helps. You have to release it. You have to forgive. And forgiveness is for you.
Beautiful.
Yep. You can do it.
And anybody who wants to share and come on this live, absolutely welcome. You are absolutely welcome. Come on and join us and help people. You know what I'm saying? Because we do need it. You know what I mean? You know, we definitely need it because somewhere in life, a lot of us have experienced this. You know what I mean? And some are still experiencing it. And some still are doing it. And their children are experiencing it. You know what I mean? It's a way out. Believe me, it's called recovery. You know, learning how disease works. Because disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And then again, I'm going to get off this thing because y'all know I could talk. But you notice I didn't say no cuss words. All right, y'all. Until next week, we're going to be out. All right? And I can't wait for Wednesday. Thanks for all the hearts.